Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. It's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome in, Hunt and Hill on a Wednesday from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city. I am Hunt Palmer, he is Hill, Jeremy Hill, Mario Jerez, and Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos. We're getting closer, Mr. Hill. How are you on this Wednesday?
I'm doing great. Stros got smoked last night, and my Lakers got a big-time showdown tonight. So, yeah, I'm feeling excited.
The Lakers do not have a big-time showdown. The Lakers don't have any big-time showdowns. They had those in the past over the last, 40 years. They have none at this point. And that concludes our Lakers talk, maybe, for the rest of the 2 hours. Opening hour brought to you by Sunshine Quality Solutions here. J.D. PicKell with us in 15 minutes. A lot of LSU Alabama talk, some college football playoff top 6 talk as well. Got some injury reports from Brian Kelly. We'll get to those in hour number 2. And we'll do our SEC Power Rankings as we always do on Wednesdays coming up at 2:30. But we start to get into this LSU Alabama game. Jeremy, we kind of treaded a little lightly the first 2 days, but it's kind of jump into the deep end here. And the question that I was posing to myself before I got into a bunch of numbers. I've watched Alabama play more than I would care to, but I've watched them a good bit this year, and I have my preconceived notions. We talked to Tony Tsoukalis yesterday about what this team has been, but my question is the Alabama defense bad? Because you think back to the Texas game, you go, man, Quinn Ewers was throwing it around a little bit, and they were in big trouble when Texas was scoring some points, and you look back and you go, God, Haynes King, that guy's awful, but they were right in the game and had a one play to win the ball game. Hendon Hooker went up and down the field. Is this a poor Alabama defense? So then I start to dive into numbers. And, okay, what have teams done? And I started with the rushing. Texas ran for 79 yards on 33 carries, 2.4 a carry, just about nothing. Arkansas is an exceptional running team. Rocket Sanders has been great. KJ Jefferson's a load. They can really move the football on the ground. They're second in the league in rushing. They ran it 51 times for 187. That's only 3.5 yards per carry. It's not like they gashed Alabama. A&M ran it 25 times for 70 yards, 2.8 per carry. And Mississippi State ran it 26 times for 62 yards, 2.4 a carry. These are some of the real teams that they have played outside of Tennessee, which we know ripped them up every way you can rip them up. But nobody else did. 2.5 yards per carry for State, under 3 yards per carry for A&M, 3.5 for Arkansas. It took them 51 carries to get where they were trying to get, and 2.5 carries for Texas. So it looks like a pretty solid run defense when you look at some of the teams they have played, not a team that's very susceptible to the run or is weak on defense.
No, I think anytime you have that the game that they had against Tennessee, it's going to sway the opinion, public opinion for sure, until you kind of deep dived a little bit. But as we've seen, that Tennessee offense is going to do that just about everyone. We'll see that test this weekend, but that offense is just out of this world. So I think, looking at the full picture, they've done a phenomenal job. And I thought, especially in that Arkansas game, we know what that Arkansas rushing attack is. And Arkansas made that a close game, and they tried to stick with that run game, but it really couldn't really deliver them from evil and really get them in the position to really put enough pressure on Alabama. And then we kind of saw what happened at the end of that game, and Alabama actually got their running game going. So just when you look at that defensive front, I know Will Anderson doesn't have the sacks that you normally see, but he's a playmaker. And we kind of saw that big play he had last year blowing up my boy TDP in the backfield. Probably not the guy you want to be running at, and just, we know what Saban is as a coordinator and as a defensive mind. He's got to know kind of what your rushing attack is. So I think of all weeks, you got to put some wrinkles in this rushing attack. I think just running inside zone right at those guys time and time again. I don't know how much success you're going to have with that. I know Saban's got to have a plan for JD5, pulling it out and trying to use the quarterback run game. So I think of all weeks, Tim Brock probably needs to throw a few wrinkles in there to kind of get those guys off the edge, and then you can kind of get back to the stuff you feel comfortable doing.
And we're moving towards a big stat here with this Alabama defense, but I'll continue to throw it out. So we think they've stopped the run pretty well outside of Tennessee, who was able to move the football any which way that they wanted to. Essentially, they ran for 182 yards in that game. But how about passing? Haynes King, we don't think he's a very good player, but 25 of 46, so a tick over 50%. He threw for 253 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Okay, that's a nice day at the office for Haynes King. The Texas quarterbacks, obviously Ewers got hurt, had to go to Card, but Texas quarterbacks, 23 of 34, 292, no touchdowns, no picks. Pretty good. It's a pretty good day for the Texas quarterbacks. Arkansas had KJ Jefferson, and they had to go to the backup there briefly. 17 of 34, that's 50%, 190 yards, a touchdown, no picks. Nothing much from the Arkansas quarterbacks, and Will Rogers completed literally 50%, 30 of 60 for 231, which is a very poor day for him. No touchdowns, no picks. In those 4 games, A&M, Texas, Arkansas, Mississippi State, quarterbacks completing 55% for 241 yards per game. They've got 3 touchdowns and 1 pick. So it's not – they haven't been gashed through the pass. Josh Pate put out, who we've talked to many times on the show from 247, has put out a stat yesterday, said, look, Alabama on the season has allowed the 6th fewest touchdowns in the FBS. Only 5 teams have allowed fewer. The number they've allowed this year is 15. 7 of those came from Tennessee. That is almost half. So, yeah, Tennessee cooked them. Hendon Hooker threw for 5 touchdowns. They were running the football. They scored a ton of points. They ended up scoring 52 with some help from the defense. But outside of that, Bama's played some pretty good defense.
Yeah, they really have, man. But to me, I think, I'm going to always ask myself, the matchups matter. So you kind of look at the schedule. You played Utah State, you played UL Monroe, you played Vanderbilt, the Doors, and then you got to go against Haynes King, obviously Arkansas in that passing attack. I don't think they're lighting the world on fire. Their receivers, I don't know if they stack up to, what LSU is. And we kind of know the stranglehold that Saban has on that air raid offense. And so to me, when they went against a really, really talented passing attack and talented receivers, a talented quarterback, we saw what kind of happened to that passing attack. And you kind of look at the rest of the schedule. I don't think it's not blowing me away with the level of talent that they're going against, the quarterbacks that they're playing against, and especially the level that JD5 has been playing like the last 2 weeks. I think Hendon Hooker is really the only guy I can point to that's really, playing at that out-of-this-world level. So even with the good numbers that they have, I think they've kind of beat on some really bad teams and obviously some quarterbacks who really aren't lighting the world on fire. So I think another test will be this Saturday, especially if you're going to get that version of JD5 that's kind of been playing out of this world and really destroying you with his legs and, using his weapons on the outside. I think they're going to get another real test this Saturday based on kind of looking at their whole season and kind of who they played against.
And that's a totally fair point. And it's why I tried to take out the Utah State, ULM, Vanderbilt statistics because I don't think they matter at all. But I was trying to pare it down to the guys that we think are functional D1, high-level players, some better than others. But I would have thought, based on just kind of looking back at paying attention to that game as I did, how many points did I think Texas scored? I would have said they probably scored 28, 30 points in that game. They scored 19. Mm-hmm. Arkansas scored 26, and Bama, got a big lead in that game. It was 28-0 at one point. So, but Arkansas only scored 26 points. A&M, look, they got 5 turnovers in that game. They scored 20 points. 20 with 5 turnovers. Mississippi State scored a touchdown on the last play of the game. They had been shut out for 59 minutes and 55 seconds. So the Tennessee game is the outlier. And I think my point here is not as much about the Alabama defense, which is not what it was in 2011 or 2012, and you can't really play defense like that anymore. Georgia tries, and they're very good, but we'll see what they can do on Saturday. My point here, I think Tennessee's just really good, and anybody who tries to kind of poo-poo that, Alabama's played good defense against everybody, and they couldn't stop Tennessee at all. Big plays, running plays, long drives, quick strikes. Tennessee basically did whatever they wanted. Yeah, no, that hypo has that thing running on all cylinders right now. That machine is oiled up. It's ready to go. And I think you really get to see that real test this Saturday, but I still think they're going to score 30. I just think it's just Hooker just has full control of that offense. And so you kind of saw, that Saban defense really just, I don't know how many other times you could point to them giving up 52, even with getting multiple turnovers, even getting a fumble 6 and scoring a touchdown that way, still finding a way to give up that many points in any football game. I just can't remember it. Even those big performances by Manziel or Cam or whoever you want to point to, those guys weren't putting up 52 points. And so you kind of saw that avenue to where, the vertical passing attack was a huge, huge problem for that defense. And I know our boy Elias Ricks wasn't out there playing many snaps that game, but
I think that's kind of what JD5 has to do this week. You got to put pressure on those cornerbacks on the outside, on those safeties who I don't think really run well, especially when you're challenging them deep, and really give all these big-time receivers an opportunity to kind of put pressure on those guys. Either you're going to get an incomplete pass interference, make it a big-time play, but what JD5's been doing is really not putting the ball in harm's way. And if you can play that brand of football, I think this secondary definitely can be tested vertically.
Bama second in the conference in points per game allowed and third in the league in sacks, but they have been susceptible to potentially losing some games. You were mentioning quarterbacks who've had really good days against Alabama and running up some points. We're going to talk about that in 20 minutes. At 1:30, we're going to talk about the quarterback play against Alabama. I've done this exercise in the past, but it's been a couple of years, and obviously things have changed over the last couple of years. Charlie said yesterday you don't necessarily have to have great quarterback play to beat this Alabama team based on the numbers I just gave you with Haynes King, Texas quarterbacks, Arkansas quarterbacks. None of those teams, none of those guys lit it up, but they were right there, had a chance to win the football game. Arkansas, it got away from them, but they were down 5 in the second half, so you're essentially there on your home field. So we'll talk about the quarterbacks that have beaten Alabama and Nick Saban over the last few years and what it's taken to knock off the Tide. Very excited to give a look at that. So we will here at 1:30. We'll come back after this timeout with J.D. PicKell of On3 Sports. I want to remind you, the opening hour on Wednesday is brought to you by Sunshine Quality Solutions, your Louisiana and Southern Mississippi John Deere dealer. If you're looking for new inventory, used inventory, parts, need a John Deere, a tractor, mower, whatever you need, they got you covered at Sunshine Quality Solutions. You can find it on Airline Highway or at sunequip.com. The website, again, is sunequip.com. Even got some fix-it-yourself deals on the website. I have no chance of, well, one, owning a tractor, two, of fixing things myself. But those of you a little more savvy with that may be able to go to sunequip.com and do a little DIY repair for your John Deere. But if you're looking for a new one or a used one, you can go to Sunshine Quality Solutions on Airline Highway. They bring the opening hour each and every Wednesday here on Hunt and Hill. J.B. PicKell from On3. When we come back, it's Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill.
One Bath and Closets. You can check them out at onebathandclosets.com. David Duvall and his crew been in the game for 3 decades, remodeling and renovating bathrooms and closets. If you tell them that Hunt and Hill sent you over to One Bath and Closets, 30% off of your closet renovation or restoration over there at One Bath and Closet. That is not insignificant. Go to the website, onebathandclosets.com. They can show you some of the things that they can do. If you've got a tub in your bathroom that you don't ever use because you don't take a bath and you'd rather take that tub out, put in a gorgeous glass shower, they can do tub to shower conversions, and they're fairly quick. We're not talking about a 6-month kick you out of your house renovation. They can go in there and make it happen. And I can promise you this with One Bath and Closets. They're not going to come back 3 weeks later and say, oh, we cut some corners there to get to the next job. We'll come back and fix that later. No, they're going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. Check out David Duvall and his team at onebathandclosets.com. Whether it's a full renovation, they're licensed contractors, they can knock it out, or you've got a pretty good space, you just don't know how to use it. They can help you to use your space a little bit more efficiently over there at One Bath and Closets. The website, again, onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
Do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
I'm Jay Ducote.
I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jdacody.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money.
It's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. Russ Mitchell will join us. Peter Burns of the SEC Network taking a closer look at the Alabama Crimson Tide. Join us 3 to 6. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Opening hour on a Wednesday brought to you by Sunshine Quality Solutions, your Southern Louisiana and Mississippi John Deere dealer. Every single Wednesday at about this time, we chat with JD PicKell of On3 Sports. We do so now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. JD, how are you? JD, we got you?
Loud and clear, boys. How we doing?
We are very good. How are you?
Doing phenomenal. Appreciate y'all having me on. Get another beautiful Hard Hat Wednesday. How's the juice over there? We got some juice for the rest of the week. We got enough to spare.
There's a lot down here, and I can't say that
good.
we were expecting it. I think most people in this city had basically resigned themselves, surprisingly to me, that this was going to be a significant rebuilding year. And obviously, what happens in the opening weekend with Florida State would lend credence to that. But they've played really well the last few weeks, and so there's a lot of hope here. I don't know if necessarily confidence is what I would call it, but hope is certainly there.
Yeah, I mean, coming in at number 10. I mean, I didn't see that coming either. But, I mean, the good news for LSU fans is this still could be a rebuilding year and you're number 10 in the first college football playoff rankings. Like, if this is, in theory, the floor for LSU, like, oh, my gosh, it's going to be a lot of good times on the horizon for Brian Kelly and company. So I think there's a lot to be excited about, and it really just feels like house money in Baton Rouge at this point. Like, you'll take all the pluses and positivity that's coming your way right now, and you expect it to be the year per se. Like, no, not really, but it's a great place to start.
Sure is. A lot of shit. We'll talk about the week to come here. There's a lot to get to. Obviously, the ball game in Athens we want to get your thoughts on, and certainly Saturday night in Death Valley. But I want to first go to the plains of Auburn, where it all kind of hit the fan over the last 48 hours. They've now got an athletic director, and they don't have a football coach. They will get one here in the next coming months. Your thoughts on where Auburn goes from here?
Yeah, how about John Cohen? I mean, just still finding his way around campus, and on the way to finding the men's restroom, decided to fire the head coach. Like, good for him to act swiftly. But in terms of where they go from here, I kind of subscribe more to the logic of whoever is the most obvious choice is probably not going to be the guy. So that kind of, for me at least, like crosses off the Lane Kiffin conversation. I think the Deion Sanders conversation is super interesting. I have a harder time getting on board with that one. I think Bill O'Brien's going to be a guy that kind of makes a surge here late. I think if he wants the job, he just strikes me as the kind of guy that fits what would be required. I mean, I just think of the Auburn job a lot like living in New York or living in Alaska, and I'll kind of add some more context to that. Like, you can be happy anywhere in the United States if you've got some money, right? Like if you have some money, you can probably live in New Mexico, you can live in California, you can live wherever comfortably. Like same thing in college football head coaching. If you win, you're probably going to work just about anywhere. But there's a couple of places in the U.S. where, like, you really have to be a fit. Like, you have to fit New York City. You have to be a fit in Alaska. Like, you have to really be a fit for those places. Same thing with Auburn. Like, if you win, I promise that makes it more enjoyable, but it takes a little bit extra. You have to be a fit for that Auburn job. And so I think Bill O'Brien and just his high-capacity nature, having been a GM at the NFL and been a head coach in the NFL, I think those things will serve him well. But just fascinated to see where they go from here. That gets my vote though in the early going. I'm going to jump on the Billy O'Brien train for now.
Huge statement in my eyes by Tennessee against Kentucky over the weekend. Everybody's like, that's a pretty competent Kentucky team. Tennessee's pass defense has struggled a little bit. They got a first-round potential quarterback. He can't even throw for 100 yards, throws 3 picks, and that game was never competitive.
Never competitive. I mean, how great is that for Tennessee in terms of like springboarding confidence and for that secondary? I mean, it doesn't get any easier. You know, I mean, I know you had a first-round quarterback on paper last week you're playing against, but you got to, Brock Bowers is a guy that's going to be rolling on the other side of the football for you. By the way, they got Darnell Washington, who's like college football's version of Thanos. So it doesn't get any easier, but it'll still be, I think, a good confidence builder for them. One thing that's interesting to look at, and I forget if we mentioned it at all in the last time we got together, boys, but I mean, Tennessee, for all the criticism that's fair that they get on that secondary, there's a lot of things that I think are probably skewed a little bit statistically. Like they get thrown on more than anybody else in the country, and some of that's because the offense is hardly on the field, and they're also forcing the opposition to have to throw because of trying to keep pace. So, I mean, I think some of those stats are a little bit doctored, but without a doubt, defending Brock Bowers and being up to the task defensively in that secondary is going to be a huge part of it.
What are the job you give to Lane Kiffin and that Ole Miss team going into that hostile environment at Kyle Field, finding a way to win that game, and obviously Lane throwing some for Halloween?
It was just a beautiful thing and a hilarious interview to watch. But I mean, in terms of the way they did it, like that Texas A&M defensive line, like Lane Kiffin said, I mean, it's built out of 5-stars. Like it's built out of a lot of guys that are going to be really good football players, whether it's this year or in coming years. Like there was a lot of talent for them to run for, I think it was 390 yards, y'all. Like that is just an absolute statement and demoralizing for a Texas A&M program that started Connor Wegman for the first time, and you saw some positive ROI. So, I mean, the kind of statement I think it says is just that Ole Miss is a program that, in my mind at least, is for real until we get, solid data proving otherwise. And LSU did what LSU did, but, I mean, when Ole Miss can run the football and kind of feed their beast they got in Judkins and Evans and even Jackson Dart getting on the action, like they're a force to be reckoned with. So, excited to see what happens with them into the postseason.
JD PicKell joins us every Wednesday here on Hunt and Hill, host of the Hard Count on On3's YouTube channel. All right, let's go to the weekend to come. We'll start in Athens, Georgia and Tennessee, top 3 matchup. Once again, for the second time in a month, it is the biggest game that Tennessee's played in 15 years. Your thoughts on how the Vols show up in Athens?
Yeah, those poor Tennessee fans, man. They've just had nothing to cheer for this year. It's been a pretty boring year down there in Knoxville. No, it's going to be so exciting. I think we picked it on our YouTube channel yesterday. Went back and forth a lot on it, and what it comes down to for me is just kind of believing that Tennessee is who we've seen them to be so far. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's not supposed to happen in year 2 when you get a new head coach after you won 7 games a year ago. Like, it's not supposed to happen like Tennessee. It's because you're believing Georgia's going to do something that we haven't seen them do consistently yet outside of that Oregon game. Like, I've seen Georgia just be too stop-start when it comes to game against Florida, the game against Missouri. I mean, Kent State had some moments. Like, there's just been too much, we're going to turn it on, now we'll turn it off again from Georgia. So for that reason, I'm trusting my eyes, and I'm picking the Vols to actually win that game in Athens. And, that Knoxville even more on fire. The game's being played in Athens, but I bet the student body goes to Neyland Stadium, gets both goalposts, put them into the river again, and it should be a good time in Knoxville if that's the case.
We've seen 2 SEC teams make the college football playoff, but are you a believer that the score in this game matters? If one of these teams get blown off the field, that avenue of having a one-loss non-SEC title team make the playoff is out of the picture?
Yeah, I think it does. I think if it does kind of flip the other way and Tennessee just gets blown out or Georgia gets blown out, I think that's just such a hard picture to overcome. Like, we talk about Oregon a lot, and if they keep winning, do they have a chance to make it in? Well, a lot of people are going to talk about just that massacre that happened in Atlanta and say, you really want to put them in the top 4? And so I think just kind of putting ourselves into that, hypothetical situation of, let's say it's 31-14 Georgia or vice versa. Like, I think it's just going to be a really hard story to tell and to make if the margin isn't close. So I think that's a good point. I mean, I think the score does matter in this game.
Look, it's a different era. It's a different way of selecting teams, but Virginia Tech came to Tiger Stadium in 2007 and got beat so badly that when it came time in 2007 to pick 2 teams to get in because everyone had lost, Virginia Tech got pushed to the side for LSU because they got beat so badly in the non-conference back in September. So, again, that was a BCS. This is a committee, and it's 4 teams instead of 2. But non-conference getting hammered is not a very, very good thing. All right, JD, let's move things to Tiger Stadium. 6 o'clock kickoff, LSU and Alabama. Both teams coming off a bye. Tigers feeling pretty good about themselves after a couple of nice wins. Give me a couple keys.
Oh, it's going to be electric. Are y'all going to be there first? Are y'all going to be in the building there?
JD, you are picking at a wound here. I host the pregame show and the postgame show for LSU. I have missed one game in 10 years. My first cousin is getting married on Saturday in New Orleans. I will not be in attendance at the football game. And
oh, my goodness.
Not a good thing.
Oh, my goodness. There's a lot of ways I could go with that.
Yeah.
I will leave it. I'm sorry to hear that won't be the case. In regards to keys to the game, I'm just going to try and move past that as gently as I can. Keys to the game to me, I'm just fascinated still by this Alabama secondary. Like, on paper, statistically, like, they haven't been horrible, but you look at the penalties, and Alabama's, like, I want to say they're in the triple digits, at least, for one of the most penalized teams in the country. And when that ball's in the air with Jaden Daniels kind of pushing the ball downfield steadily more and more and getting guys like Dre Jenkins involved and Keyshawn Butte, and, I mean, Brian Thomas, all 6'4" of him, Alabama has struggled from a pass interference perspective with those big bodies, whether it was Brew McCoy or whether it was Jatavian Sanders from Texas. So excited to see when that ball's in the air, does LSU either, 1, get a big play, or 2, draw a 15-yard penalty and kind of keep themselves ahead of the sticks or keep them able to sustain drives that way. Second key I'm looking at is just what's the ultimate, like, adjustment standpoint for LSU? Because we talk about it so much about how phenomenal they are adjusting, and I truly believe Matt House has done one of the best jobs in America with that defense. And, the cupboard isn't bare in terms of personnel. They got some players now. I mean, Harold Perkins, a certified dog, but just what I think is crucial. The thing for me, though, in this game, if I'm LSU, like, I don't want to wait till halftime to adjust and turn the water off. Like, if we get down 17-3 to Bama, like, that's not going to be a fun story to tell the next day. Like, it's hard to stop the bleeding when your arms have been chopped off. So I think for LSU, it's got to be, can we adjust early? Can we, take a little bit of data and do a lot with it, if that makes sense? So I think those are 2 really, really key points for LSU. And I think those will be kind of determining for how much they're able to push back in this game, because the personnel at Alabama kind of, tells its own story with Jahmyr Gibbs, and he's averaging 7 to carry. And so if the personnel can be the, what it comes down to, you probably lean Alabama, but fascinated to see how those 2 variables play themselves out, gentlemen.
JD, really appreciate the time. Check him out on the Hard Count on On3's YouTube channel. He is JD PicKell with us every single Wednesday. Have a good one, man. We'll talk next week.
Appreciate y'all. Hey, enjoy the wedding hunt, and we will.
I'll have my phone charged.
I'll
be watching in the church. So sorry, mom. Sorry, wife. Sorry, cousin. I'm watching the game. That's our guy, JD PicKell of On3 Sports. Yeah, we'll come back and we'll talk about quarterbacks that beat Alabama. What does it look like? Charlie said yesterday on his show, you don't necessarily have to have great quarterback play. And against this Bama team, you've gotten non-great quarterback play that has really pushed Alabama to the brink. But they only lost the one to Hendon Hooker, and he was pretty good. So we'll give you the rest of that story next on Hunt and Hill.
Holding down the middle of the day. This is Hunt and Hill.
Now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's free bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just sign up with promo code 1045ESPN.
You know the promo code 1045ESPN. If you don't have a FanDuel account, just download it. It's got all your favorite bets, money line plays, point spreads, player props. You can live bet during the game. You'll see the odds change, and then if you see something you like while you're watching, from the couch, boom, just hit it right there. It's all on an app that's safe, secure, super easy to use. Sign up today with the promo code 1045ESPN for your no-sweat first bet. That's promo code 1045ESPN. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online enrollment wager only. Refund issues not withdrawable. Free bet expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you're someone who has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
They said I was small, weak, said my heart wasn't strong enough. But I showed them what heart looked like, again and again and again. Mom got me the right care, the right doctors with Blue Cross coverage. Don't let people tell you who you are. Show them. The right card, the right care.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt and Hill. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
Jimmy out for the Wednesday evening edition of Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers. Special Wednesday location. We're at Rouge Creole in Perkins Row. 6 to 8 p.m. Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Oh yeah. Stelly must have did this beat.
For the radio. Hello, somebody. Yeah,
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I'll miss Big Fave on Saturday. Be wasting away on St. Charles Avenue. He'll be cutting up, no doubt.
Oh, yeah. He's going to be in full game day mode on Saturday. Yeah, that'll be some juice from Big Fave.
No question. I do this. I've done this exercise a bunch of times, and I figured I would do it again as time has passed. Probably 2 or 3 years since I did it last. And it always, to me, came down to the fact that if you were going to be, and I was on record in the mid-2010s, that like LSU's not going to beat this guy, not going to beat this team until your quarterback is either wearing 18 or going first in the draft. And that guy showed up. They went first in the draft, and they beat him. And that was something that I was adamant about and remain adamant about to this day. And Charlie did a good segment to open his show yesterday. You can go back and listen to it on demand, YouTube, wherever you find your on-demand stuff. Said, look, A&M had a chance to beat them. Their quarterback didn't play that great. Texas had a chance to beat them. The quarterback was fine. Arkansas was down 5. None of these guys set the world on fire. And that's true. We went through that in the first segment here. And those teams absolutely had a chance to beat Alabama. But they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And Tennessee did. And their quarterback went nuts. And so I went back to the last 7 losses, and I fully admit up front am telling you, it is the last 7 losses where Alabama's starting quarterback played and the backup didn't throw 2 pick sixes. For the purpose of this exercise, I have taken the 2019 Auburn-Alabama game and thrown it out. Tua was hurt. Mac Jones threw 2 pick sixes. Bo Nix didn't play worth a flip that day, but Auburn still won the game. I've taken it out. I'm being selective. Our show, my show, we can do that. I'm taking it out. So it's the other 7 losses this Alabama team has had. I'll go on record to say this. If Bryce Young gets hurt, doesn't play, and they bring in Milton, he comes in, or whatever his name is, and he throws 2 pick sixes, LSU's got a pretty good chance to win. That'll be my analysis of that if it happens. So we'll take that out, and we'll go with the rest of it. These are the games we're looking at. In 2022, Hendon Hooker and Tennessee beat them. 2021, Zach Calzada and A&M, Stetson Bennett and Georgia beat them. 2019, Joe Burrow and LSU beat them. 2018, Trevor Lawrence and Clemson beat them in the national championship game. 2017, Jarrett Stidham and Auburn beat them. And in 2016, Deshaun Watson and Clemson beat them. These guys, the last 7 quarterbacks to beat Alabama, 7 games, have completed 70% of their throws for 327 yards per game with 19 touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
Hendon Hooker this year, 21 of 30 for 385 and 5 touchdowns. Calzada last year, 21 of 31, 285, 3 touchdowns. Burrow, 31 of 39, 393, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Trevor Lawrence out in California, 20 of 32, 347, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Deshaun Watson, national championship game, 36 of 56 for 420, 3 touchdowns, and no picks. If your alpha quarterback doesn't show up, he can be Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, or Zach Calzada. If that guy doesn't show up, you're not going to beat them. Period.
Yeah, no, I think a huge part of that, those turnover numbers for all those quarterbacks, they're not turning the ball over at an alarming clip, giving that Alabama offense those short fields to go score. So that's a huge part to do with it, and I think that's always what you need when you're talking about one of the top 1, 2, 3 teams in the country. That's just the brand of football you're going to need, throwing Alabama just out the picture. You're going to have to play a really great brand of football because you're talking about 4 stars, 5 stars. You heard my boy Lane talking about it. There's just 5 stars everywhere. Well, yeah, that's what you're going to see when you play Alabama, and there's just going to be talent everywhere. And then now this year you got a quarterback that's going to be a top 10 pick in the draft. So you got to play just about perfect football. You're going to have your special team show up, and you're going to have your quarterback go out there and really be laser focused on out there executing at a high level, going 3 and out a bunch, turning the ball over a bunch, not throwing for yards, not having touchdowns. It's not the old days. You don't have that entire LSU defense from 2011 where you can just go out there and score 9 points and say, hey, we'll probably win this game. Saban's threw that book out the window. He wants to score points. He's spreading you out just like everyone else, and winning the game with 9 points on the board against Alabama. Those days are just long gone. So you're gonna have your quarterback go out there and execute at an extremely high level.
I've got numbers for that too. Listen to this. Hendon Hooker, as I mentioned, went 21 of 30, 385 and 5 touchdowns with a pick. 385 and 5 touchdowns. They won the game by 3 points. Zach Calzada, game of his life, 285 and 3 scores. They beat Bama by 3 points. Burrow, as I mentioned, 31 of 39 for 393, 3 touchdowns and a pick, and no picks. You can't play any better than that. Won by 5. Deshaun Watson threw for 420 and 3 touchdowns with no picks. They won the game on the last play of the game by 4. Yep. So not only are these quarterbacks lighting it up, they're winning by a score, a field goal in some instances.
Yep.
Yeah, look, Trevor Lawrence and that Clemson got after him, 44-19. Trevor did throw for 347 and 3 touchdowns that night. But the margin is thin. And do I think Nick Saban in a heartbeat would flip a switch and go back to 2011 and put 11 guys out there that were dominating every offense and nobody could cross the line of scrimmage? Yeah, he'd rather play it that way, but he knows he can't. And they're still really good at this way because they've got quarterbacks over the last 5 years that can light it up.
Yeah, no, and that's what you see. I mean, you got to think about, obviously, I hate to even say it, but probably the best, college coach you've ever seen do it. And then he's trotting out there some of the best players that are, you can find in the country every single year in and year out. So to think you're just going to trot out there, sleepy through the game, we're going to just dominate these guys, it's just not one of those teams. He's got to have those guys ready to play. And even when they are sleeping, they've had some of those games this year where they got a bunch of penalties and, they're not playing that brand of football, bonehead turnovers, and they're still not getting blown off the field. They're still right in that game. Everyone talks about that explosive Tennessee offense and just how well they played and how many points they scored. They won by 3 points. They're a missed field goal away from losing that football. They're going to be well coached. They're going to be ready to play. And it seems like whatever reason it is, every time they come to Death Valley, it's just like a different level of focus when they come here. So you just got to have to come ready to play because they're going to be a team who's ready to go. And they know what's at stake in this football game, especially with their season being on the line here.
So the cumulative stats, once again, to reinforce the point, these quarterbacks, 70% completion, 19 touchdowns and 2 picks, averaging 327 a game. The question now is, can Jaden Daniels do that? Can he go out there, throw for 315 yards and 2 or 3 scores, not turn it over, run it for 90 more and another score, and keep up? Is he capable of that?
If Zach Calzada can do it, I think I'm going to go on the line here and say my boy JD5 can probably pull a rabbit out the hat and find a way to get it done, especially with kind of the way you've seen him play these last 2 weeks and just the confidence coming from that locker room. I think he's kind of, got a lot more. Coach Denbark's kind of got him playing the way he wants to play. So if my man Zach can do it, I'm going to go, I got to say my man JD5 can do it.
We know the mobile guys who've given him a tough time. Johnny comes to mind clearly. You beat him one time and scored a ton of points in the 2013 game as well. We know that Nick Marshall gave him a little bit of trouble running around. He ran for 100 yards in that game that they won in the kick 6. The other guys that I've mentioned, Burrow did run a good bit in that game, but Jarrett Stidham's not going to kill you outside the pocket. Deshaun Watson's not going to kill you outside the pocket. Trevor Lawrence is not going to kill you outside the pocket. They're athletic guys, but none of those guys are going to kill you outside the pocket. Daniels is a little bit of a different threat, and certainly a guy that I think could give them some problems. The best way to help out with a Will Anderson pass rush if one of your tackles gets beat is just to have Jaden Daniels run away from him. And that may be what it takes every once in a while. Live it doing it like they tried to in the Florida State game in the first half, but it does help if Will Anderson wins pretty clean 5 times and 4 of them Jaden Daniels runs away and picks up 7 yards. That's one way to help. Saban can neutralize your running back. Leonard Fournette couldn't do squat. He can take out your best receiver. In the 2 games they played in 2011, Ruben Randall was a total non-factor. He was the best wide receiver on that team, and they couldn't get him the football. He can't take the ball away from your quarterback. That's the guy that's got to go win the game. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, and that's something that, I heard a lot from Coach Belichick. It's a new factor in football, especially when you're a team that likes to run man coverage, just like Alabama does. They're going to run a ton of man coverage, a ton of press man, let that defensive line get after you and hope those guys get home before guys can create separation and break that contain, break that pocket. Now you got, 5 or 6 guys in coverage chasing after guys, and then your quarterback's, he's hitting the second level, and that's very, very difficult to do, especially when you got 2 edge rushers who I think they're going to want to get out of those pass rush lanes. They're not going to do the mush rush and just sit there, hang out at the line of scrimmage. Let's watch. They're going to be coming after JD5, and the worst thing you can do as a quarterback, as a defense, is give that quarterback those rush lanes to really get to that second level. We know how fast JD5 is, and then now you got everyone in man coverage. It's very, very difficult to do. So I rarely see Saban really spying and putting guys that way. He's normally just going to rush those 4 and, match you up man-to-man. And I think this kind of opens up the door for JD5 to kind of have one of those traditional matchups we've seen with quarterbacks using their legs to kind of, blitz some of these Saban defenses.
I don't know whether LSU's going to win or lose on Saturday, but it will come down to how the quarterback plays. I can tell you that is almost a relative certainty. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, excited to see pro hockey coming back to the Raising Cane's River Center this winter. Tickets start at just $10 for the game at our box office. Keep listening for your chance to win some from us. Sign up to win at 1045ESPN.com. We'll come back and talk about the playoff rankings from last night. That's next on Hunt and Hill.
Professional golfers John Peterson and J.J. Colleen answer all your golf and life questions inside. Download or subscribe today at dropbiscuit.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Saban office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Saban have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Service Mastery Elite takes pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Mastery Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Mastery Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana Hospital, Auctioner.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Support it, so go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It's no secret, the best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
On Thursdays, Off the Bench, we have a new edition of Munchie Johnson. Plus, we continue to look ahead to LSU versus Alabama, and we recap Pelicans-Lakers. Off the Bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Opening hour on a Wednesday brought to you by Sunshine Quality Solutions, your Louisiana and Southern Mississippi John Deere dealer. You can find them on Airline or at sunequip.com. Looking for new equipment, used equipment, parts, service. It's all there on Airline Highway and also at sunequip.com. Sunshine's Quality Solutions, your Louisiana and Southern Mississippi John Deere dealer. Final Four, or not Final Four. Far from the Final Four. The opposite of the Final Four. The first four, first 25, the College Football Playoff Selection Committee came out last night, and everybody on Twitter wanted to throw a fit and have takes and freak out. The entire list is totally irrelevant. I can't believe there are people that conjure up a bunch of feelings over the November 1st edition. Mississippi State. You think they made the playoff? No, they didn't. They lost 3 games. So I can't get all hot and bothered over it, but it did come out Tennessee number 1, Ohio State number 2, Georgia number 3, Clemson 4, Bama 5, TCU 6, Oregon 7. I was a little surprised they threw Alabama in there ahead of TCU. TCU has a couple of currently ranked wins. Alabama did lose to Tennessee, who's number 1, and I guess that's what they're giving them credit for. But they were on the ropes in 3 other games, and I just don't know what they have done other than wear the numbers on their crimson helmets to say, hey, we should be right here in the top 5. But it doesn't matter. I just was surprised by that. And when we went through the exercise yesterday, I thought that the unbeaten teams would be up there ahead of the teams with 1 loss.
Yeah, and you saw the committee's explanation on that. They said, TCU, we're looking for a balance. We're looking for offense and defense, and TCU's defense is real sleepy when you just saw Bama give up 52. But, hey, that's another conversation for another day.
Yeah, the balance. How about Tennessee, who statistically is one of the worst pass defenses in the country? They're first. So how's that for balance?
Yeah, so it's just I don't know with this committee, man. They're going to do what they want to do. And I think, like you said, it's so early on. This doesn't matter. There's so many games to play. There's, title weekend that's yet to be played. There's so much more football. And so, yeah, it's great. Every team can say, oh, yeah, we're in it right now. Woohoo. But too much football left, so can't get too worked up about the first one. And the Tigers being in the top 10. So
a lot of people in an LSU world like, oh, we're 10th. Look at that, Ryan Kelly rebuild. You're already 10th. I was like, who cares? You're 10th. You might lose 3 more games. You won't be 10th then.
Yeah, exactly. So just way too much football left, and I think for fan bases, you always need to have something to cheer for, which is why I don't care about the rankings. I never did. Like, oh yeah, the number 3 team's coming into Death Valley. Like, okay, like it's a personal opinion. Like, got to play the football, got to play the downs, got to execute the ranking. I've never thought about a ranking like when I'm trying to run a play here. Oh my God, these guys are ranked 3. Okay, woo, I'm so scared. Like, no, it doesn't matter. Like, at the end of the season, I think when you're getting a championship weekend, that's when it kind of matters a lot more. But right now, it's really no point in it.
And even at that point, Ohio State comes out and beats the brakes off Wisconsin, and they jump over TCU, who's undefeated, or just has 1 loss. Like, they can do whatever they want at the end. They can change things entirely. They've made a point in talking about the selection process to say that conference championships will weigh in, which basically that may be true. You may want to weigh that in, but what it basically says is we can come in at the end and change this whole thing if we want, which they can. It's a subjective process. They sit in a room and they hash it out. It's nice TV. It's interesting for talk show hosts that want to dive into it and get a bunch of clicks. You can jump on and have your takes. I personally am not going to spend a ton of time on this. Now, if LSU wins the game against Alabama, all of a sudden that conversation ratchets up a little bit. You still have to go win some more games against good teams away from home, but you enhance the conversation as it moves. On November the 1st, I mean, it's just, we got 4 games to play here.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing for me is and I know everyone knows I'm pumping my Tigers as much as I can, and I get these magical, lovely scenarios, but let's say things do go extremely well for the Tigers, it really does make that conversation. Does that 1-loss, USC team that could potentially win the Pac, and then obviously TCU, if they have 1 loss, do you put that 2-loss LSU team over the hump based on the schedule and the balance that they love to see? Seeing that 10 ranking so quick, I don't know. We'll see. That's a conversation to have for another day, but it does make it interesting.
It's an interesting sport. I'll give it that. You start talking about expanding the NCAA basketball tournament to 80-something, 90-something teams. Man, November through February is just a joke at that point, and that is certainly not the case here. And you can mention any talking points you want, but the fact of the matter is that still tons and tons of football to be played, so nothing too much to get all worked up about. So that's why we pinned it in the back of hour number 1. Still got a ton to get to in hour number 2. But first, congratulations to Jimmy Russell of Prairieville. Jimmy's the Week 9 winner in the 2022 Twin Peaks College Football Pick'em Contest. He wins $50 in Twin Peaks gift cards. Don't forget to make your picks for Week 10 by 5 o'clock on Thursday. That is, of course, tomorrow. Play the 2022 Twin Peaks College Football Pick'em today at 1045ESPN.com. If you missed any of hour number 1, we had J.D. PicKell on, talked a lot of LSU, Alabama around that, and a little college football playoff selection rankings. You can check it on demand, 1045ESPN.com. You can check the on-demand tab there. Go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you find your audio, you can find us right there if you search in Hunt and Hill. We appreciate you for checking all of that out. In hour number 2, we heard from Brian Kelly on the SEC Media Teleconference. We'll talk about that at the top of the hour. Also, our SEC Power Rankings still to come at 2:30. Sports Center's coming right at you. Come back for hour number 2 with us. Hope your Wednesday's going well. It is Hunt and Hill.
When I was a boy, I spent my days climbing trees, catching fish. Barefoot in the river I walked, listening to crickets, counting stars. This was home. After my stroke, I wondered if I'd make it back to the people and places I love. But I got the right doctors with Blue Cross coverage. Your card matters. Your home does too.
Enter now for a chance to win a catch and cook fishing experience from the Louisiana Charter Boat Association with me, Chef Jay Ducote, winner of Beat Bobby Flay. Register now at gocatch.com. That's GEAUX catch.com.
Light beer shouldn't taste like water. Miller Lite has more taste and only 96 calories. It's Miller time.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Today, the Washington Commanders released a statement saying owner Dan Snyder has hired Bank of America to consider potential transactions involving the franchise. Asked if Snyder is considering selling the team, a spokesman said they are exploring all options. Snyder's ownership has come under increased pressure recently amid NFL and congressional investigations into the team's workplace culture and potential financial misconduct. If Snyder does sell, the process will be quick, believes ESPN's Adam Schefter.
I think the NFL would have no problem fast-tracking this sale. So whatever it takes to get it done, it won't be an issue. The NFL can go make happen whatever it wants to. And with the fact that some owners want to see Dan Snyder removed, tells me that they can make this happen as quickly as they want to have it happen.
Browns say quarterback Deshaun Watson remains on track to start December 4th when his 11-game suspension for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy ends. Kansas self-imposing a 4-game suspension for basketball coach Bill Self and assistant Curtis Townsend as part of the fallout from a long FBI investigation into college basketball corruption.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all of your car care needs. We're close, convenient, and known for our guaranteed everyday low prices and excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
1, 2, 3. Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, it's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Everywhere there is this need to want to see results. Our society is about that, right? So there's no patience for long-term plans anymore. So I think everybody goes in it with their eyes wide open that, you're looking to find immediate results. Now, things that have happened that allow that to come together quicker are seen with transferring. The transfer portal in particular allows you to restock, if you will, in terms of bringing in more mature players. If this was just building with freshmen, the process could in fact take longer. But there are some accelerants in that sense. Having said that, you still have to be able to create your program from within. You still have to get buy-in. You still have to be able to create, the right standards and the right relationships and the right coaching staff and the right support staff. So there are a lot of moving pieces other than just saying, hey, just rely on the transfer portal and all things will be great.
It's Brian Kelly on the SEC teleconference this morning when asked about a rebuild that he feels like he inherited here. And look, that is such a good answer. So often coaches mail in answers in press conferences or teleconferences or whatever, interviews, whatever the case may be. And that's fine. Their job's to win games. You want to tell me the truth in a press conference about an injury, you want to cover it up, whatever. I don't care. But that was a great answer, and it's really, really true. And LSU finds itself in a position this week and Saturday night that I quite frankly, as an LSU fan, cannot remember in my time being an LSU fan, which dates back to the mid-'90s when I was just a little kid. There was such an era there when Nick took over and Les continued it, and it spilled into the Ogeron era where you felt like you always had a chance to win the West. And sometimes it didn't happen, and that was a huge disappointment, and then you move on to the next year. You hope you sign a great class, but there was always an expectation to win the West, win the league, win the national championship. That's what you're supposed to do at LSU. If you fall short of that, it's really disappointing. And then the last 2 years happened, which I haven't gone through. I don't remember 93, 94. I don't. I was 5. So I've never gone through 2 back-to-back 500 seasons. And then a coach firing and a cleaning house situation and bringing a whole new guy in. That's new to me. And I think the expectation level around here, as I've said many times in August and even this week, was like, all right, Brian Kelly's got to get his guys, and it's going to take some time. Like, it's going to take a lot of time. And then you lose to Florida State, and everybody's like, look, team's not very good, okay? So it's going to take a lot of time. Then you go out there and you don't play well against Auburn. You get crushed by Tennessee. It's like, yeah. And then all of a sudden you play 2 good weeks of football, and everyone's like, well, you control your own destiny, and Alabama's a little susceptible, and all of a sudden A&M and Arkansas aren't playing very good. Whoa, we can win the West here. Can we get the playoff? And I just can't remember feeling like this, where it's this wide range of emotions. It used to be like, all right, lace them up in August. We're supposed to win the West and go to the national championship. If you lose your second game, all right, we're not doing that. That's a little bit of a disappointing season. What bowl are we going to? All right, next national championship season. Where are we? Yep. This is a bizarre last 3 months.
Yeah, no, it's been an emotional roller coaster for a lot of Tiger fans, and obviously it couldn't have started any worse when you got a chance to kick an extra point to go in overtime and start the season 1-0, and then you kind of saw how that went, and then all the concerns about the offense and the defense and this new coaching staff, and you got the Notre Dame, media saying, oh, well, Coach Kelly, he stinks, and it's like, now for fans believe in that, and then you go and you play some more games, and you start to figure this thing out, and then now you got, like you said, what's going on now, where you play 2 back-to-back amazing offensive performances. You scored 90 points in 2 weeks, and then now you got a bye week, and you got a whole week to sit on that, and then it just creates so much build up into this game, and it really creates that environment where people do have that hope, and I think watching this football team the last few years, that hope kind of went out the window. Anytime you think this LSU football team was used to the UCLA Bruins in football, that is, it just kind of lets you know where that football program was at the time. And so I think going from that last season and having a team that just really wasn't competitive and really not what we're used to seeing in Baton Rouge, and to now where, like you said, you do actually control your destiny. You can, represent the West in the SEC championship. It's got to bring all those feelings back, all those feelings of nostalgia back for so many fans, which I think the city desperately misses, the city desperately needs. And I think, the plan of Coach Kelly, like he said, man, you want to really rebuild this thing and create your own identity. And I think there's still a lot of Edo flavor still on this roster, and, kind of a lot of things you kind of saw this program over the last 2 seasons still kind of there, and still you kind of saw chunks of that this season. But, this thing takes time. I don't think anyone predicted them to kind of have the success they've had to this point right now, and I think that's kind of creates that emotional roller coaster that you're seeing this season.
And the other thing that makes this different than anything that I'm familiar with is because over my time as a college football fan, if your program bottoms out, and LSU bottomed out, then the thought was, okay, you bring in a new coach, he puts a staff together, you sign a couple of classes, you go from 5 wins to 7 wins, and then you go from 7 wins to 9 wins, and then you go to 9 wins to 10 wins, and then you win 9, and then you can maybe win 10 or 12 in year 3 or 4 once you've got your guys in, you got your system in place, your culture's established, and your recruiting classes stack up. Well, that's the way college football always was. Now it's basically the NFL. Yeah, you got 11 starters back from last year, 12 starters back from last year. Go sign quote-unquote free agents from the transfer portal. Go get 4 of those who can play. And then you hope in your draft class, which is your signing class of 25, that 3 or 4 of those guys can help you. That's what this is now. So the turnover is so quick that, like, the term rebuild, like, not really applicable. It's what do you got year to year? So while we may change our talking points next week. If Alabama wins this game 49-16, then all of a sudden we sit here on Monday and go, well, yeah, they weren't quite there, and they played 2 really good teams, and they got crushed, and they played the average teams in the league, and they played really well twice and beat Florida and Ole Miss, and they played not so great against Auburn, and they barely got out alive against the team that fired their coach. But, hopefully they can go out there this week and beat Arkansas, and that's what we'll say. If they win, you start talking about crazy stuff, in my opinion, based on where I was a month ago. Yeah. And so it's like, I'm just not familiar with anything, anywhere I am. I'm not familiar with how you build a football program, because this is all brand new. I'm not familiar with this roller coaster of bottoming out to thinking you're not any good to all of a sudden playing 2 good weeks and thinking you can get in the playoff. Like, it's the twilight zone.
Yeah, it is. But, I mean, look at the landscape of college football. I mean, look no further than last season, that not Mississippi State, but that Michigan State football team where they kind of just set the world on fire, and no one expected that. And they got all their fan bases pumping Mel Tucker. Then kind of look at them this year. If you're a USC fan, you kind of just look at that program and all the history with Pete Carroll and just kind of where they fell into the dungeons. And then, hey, you go get Lincoln Riley, now look at you. So it's just kind of what we're just going to have to get used to now with college football, especially with the transfer portal. You feel really, really great about everything, going into a season. Then you can have a max exodus. I mean, look at Pitt. They just had, first-round quarterback, best receiver in the country. And then, you lose all those guys, now you're back to the doldrums again. And so I think for so many programs, you're just going to have to deal with that and kind of just that emotional roller coaster where you could be good 1 month and then you fast forward 2 months later, you're looking at an entirely different football team. And that just hasn't been the case, when that transfer portal wasn't around. You knew you got to have your guys there for at least 2 or 3 years and sometimes 4 with some guys. But now, like, these rosters can look just absolutely totally different in a month's time. And that's just going to take, a lot of getting used to. It doesn't matter what program you're at.
One of the things that can turn listeners off more quickly than anything is if you tell them how to feel. I've learned. Sports are most people's getaway. It's you treat them how you would. I live life and death with how LSU plays. It's an exaggeration. It's hyperbole on purpose. But I'm violently nervous when LSU plays. Some people love to watch the band come down Victory Hill and get a hot dog at the game and watch the cheerleaders and hear the, and that's just enjoy the day. And if they win, that's awesome. If they lose, we're going to church tomorrow. Get up and go to work on Monday. It's like, you can't tell people how to feel. Some things I feel a little bit more passionately about than others. And I think if you react to a really bad shooting week in January with your basketball team and say they're toast, I think you're overreacting. I think sometimes you don't make jump shots and you got a lot of games to play and you're going to lose some in a conference run. I think if you go nuts when your baseball team loses 4 of 5 in March, you need to probably pump the brakes. But you do you. How you're supposed to feel going into this game, to me, is so interesting as a fan. Because, like I said, the conversation on Monday could not be more different if it's a close LSU win or a massive blowout loss. If Bama beats you by a field goal, we kind of come in neutral. Mm-hmm. But if you win the game or get dusted, it's totally different. Yeah. So if I was coaching you how to feel, hey, will you go in the stadium? Let's go win the national championship. Like, let's go beat these guys.
Yeah.
That's more fun, at least.
Yeah, no, it's definitely more fun, especially kind of like you said. That's kind of what you walked into every season as for a lot of these people, especially after the Saban era. It's like you expected to kind of be challenging at the end of the season every single year. You just walked into 10-win seasons, and if you could kind of get over that Alabama hump, get over sometimes it's Auburn, sometimes it's this team, but we get over that hump, we're right where we want to be. And so I think now it's like you just having a team that doesn't have a pulse. It's just so weird for a lot of people here who've been coming to a lot of games over the years, and now kind of some of those weird feelings are coming back. Like, wait, we're actually good? Like, wait, we just beat Alabama? Like, what's going on here? Coach Olardesi? Wait, SEC? We got to get tickets to Atlanta? We got to get a flight? We got to get hotels? Like, that just hasn't been the case for a few years now. So I think, if that happens, you're going to see a lot of that. Is that the end of the spectrum is going to go all the way to the other end of just a pure, utter excitement. And I'm not going to say delusion, but it's gonna be a lot of crazy talk in Baton Rouge.
I'll tell you what, this already beats the brakes off the last 2 years. So here we are. Hopefully it's only up from here. Second hour here of a Wednesday edition of Hunt and Hill. SEC Power Rankings coming at you in 15 minutes. When we come back, injury updates. John Emery, Major Burns, Garrett Dellinger. Brian Kelly updated all those guys earlier this morning. We'll tell you what he's had to say next on Hunt and Hill.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill.
Reliable Roofing and Construction. Check them out at reliableroofing.br.com.
Yeah, so happy to tell you guys about Reliable Roofing, a family-run, owned, and operated residential roofing company. They've been in business since 2008 with over 30 years of roofing experience.
Lionel Hayes from Baton Rouge, born and raised in Baton Rouge, started his business in Baton Rouge. It is Reliable Roofing and Construction. He is here to serve this Baton Rouge community. When you choose to have your roof inspected, repaired, replaced, you deserve a number of things. You deserve to have a professional crew that's going to show up on time to get the job done. You deserve the highest quality of shingle. You deserve shingle options that fit your taste. And you deserve to have a 5-year labor warranty, which is you're going to get with Reliable Roofing and Construction. A 5-year labor warranty. Not going to find that everywhere in the marketplace. Check out the pictures at their Instagram at Reliable Roofing LLC. And right there on their website, reliableroofing.br.com. Reliable Roofing and Construction, reliableroofing.br.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play. with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Before we begin any electrical work here, we perform a home safety check that begins at your electrical panel to make sure that you and your family are safe. For all your upgrades, installations, and repairs, call Mr. Electric.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt and Hill. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
In the prep football season, and we get started Friday night at 6 with Louisiana Prep Preview presented by the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. And we'll wrap things up with the Week 10 edition of the Lake Urgent Care Total Occupational Medicine Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show from 10 to midnight on YouTube, Your View, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hope your Wednesday is going swimmingly. Appreciate you hanging out with us at 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hunt and Hill, 1 to 3 every single weekday. Got some injury news today from Brian Kelly on the SEC teleconference. And for the first time, really, all year, I think. Yeah, all year. LSU's running back room is whole at this point. John Emery is healthy, back at practice, is cleared to go in the game. Armani Goodwin got 8 carries back in the game against Ole Miss. You understand that Josh Williams is ready to roll. So LSU's running back crew is healthy. Now, teams have not done a good job of running the football against Alabama, but you like all your bullets at the very least.
Yeah, you definitely do. And obviously, a lot of people were calling for a lot more Emery this season, but I think, the favor that Josh Williams and obviously Goodwin has gained with this coaching staff, they just feel, a lot more comfortable with those guys kind of getting the bulk of the carries. But I think you will see a little bit of Emery in this game. I mean, we all kind of remember what happened in 2020, big-time play. Maybe get one of those repeats against Alabama. But,
Sitting at my coffee table with COVID in pajamas.
Yeah, so I think that's, we've seen that Alabama defense really be really sturdy, against the run this year. It's kind of, something that they really haven't done at a high clip. But I think in this game, you can't abandon that. You got to keep them respectable and really kind of give yourself those, obvious one-on-one matchups on the outside where these guys are in one-on-one. And the only way to do that is trying to, threaten them with that run game. So having all your backs definitely helps in this game.
It's a chess game. We know that. And so to try to speak in absolutes in terms of game plan strategy from where we're sitting without any information from the inside is generally a fool's errand. But I was thinking about the screen game, basically in terms of how do you help these tackles against two ridiculous edge rushers. And, the thought was, okay, screen game might help a lot. But the problem is if Saban is patient with his defense because he doesn't want to allow Jaden Daniels to get loose, then how effective can the screen game be? When you've got a quarterback that they know they have to account for in the pass game, all of a sudden they're not as aggressive up the field as you can get behind them on the screen game. Am I making any sense?
Yeah, most definitely. And I think that's kind of, number one, rule number one, when you kind of got those really, really dangerous, pass rushers that you really got to respect off the edge. You have to do certain things to slow those guys down. And, I'm always a believer in I don't like leaving guys on block that are really, really good at football. I hate when I see that, okay, Aaron Donald's just flying through the A-gap. We're not going to block him. Or Will Anderson's coming off the edge. You're not going to block him. They will wreck a game. So I think that's kind of the dangerous thing you got to worry about anytime you're mixing in the screen game. But I think this week, maybe flip it to the edge, to the receivers, and do it that way where you're not just giving those guys a free lane with all that speed and all that athleticism. And a guy like Anderson who can't get his hands up and bat down passes, you're wasting a play there. So I think you do have to, run some screens this week, but you just got to be a little more smart about the way you do it.
This is – now, if you gave me the choice between an elite athlete at quarterback or a guy who just saw the field perfectly and couldn't move as well, I'd take the guy who could see the field. But in this case, LSU's got an elite athlete back there who has seen the field much better in the last 2 weeks. But Saban for years against LSU, no matter if we're talking Les and Greg Sadrawa or Cam Cameron or talking about Matt Canada, for years has dialed up pressure and really affected LSU's quarterbacks. He couldn't get to Joe in 2019, and LSU just diced him. But that's once in a lifetime. But this is the biggest threat an LSU quarterback has posed his defense athletically. Jordan Jefferson was a very good athlete, but was not nearly the runner and not nearly as shifty or really straight line fast as Jaden Daniels is. And nobody else really even comes close to the athleticism that Jaden Daniels has. So for years, Saban has had the ability to affect the quarterback so drastically in this game, and he's got to temper that a little bit, because if you come flying up the field and let Jaden Daniels out, all of a sudden you got a wide receiver basically with the football. I mean, that's what Jaden Daniels is at this point. So this is a different way he's going to have to approach this game. I'm very comfortable with that.
Yeah, and most definitely. And I think even in that Hooker, I think Jaden's just a better athlete. He's a better runner. Hooker can run. It's something
Richardson's the only comp in the league.
Yeah. He's really the only guy you can see taking it for 80 to the house. But I think JD5 just brings that different dynamic that you've seen. And even the other guys who've had success, I just think he's a better runner than Deshaun, or he's faster than Manziel. Just any of these guys you want to name. I mean, he's touching 21, almost 22 miles per hour running in full pad. So it kind of just lets you know the level of athlete that he is. And if he gets to your second level, you've seen him. He will do a ton of damage, already breaking every rushing record that any LSU quarterback's ever had who's played in this program. So I think that's something that's going to probably keep Saban up this week, because if LSU were to have that game and were to have that performance, I think it's not going to be JD5 just killing you with throwing for 500 yards passing. He's going to be mixing in his legs and his athletic ability, and extending drives and getting big time runs on third down and doing it that way. So they're going to have to figure out that avenue to slow him down, because if they can't, it's going to be a long day for the Alabama defense.
In that vein, with LSU's offensive front, Garrett Dellinger is out there practicing. Brian Kelly today was not going to commit to him starting in the football game. Said that, I don't think we're going to run him out there to start, but he can add a little bit of depth and give us a fresh body. To me, if he can play, I'd like him to play. I don't know what the point of a pitch count is unless he's just out of shape because the knee wouldn't allow him to work out. If that's the case, I get it. But if he can add a little bit of depth, he's been solid on the interior for you, especially since he's moved to guard. Yeah. And that's another body that you've got, which helps. Your offensive line is going to have to hold up.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. And it always starts with the big hog mollies up front on either side of the ball you want to pick. especially when you're playing this Alabama team. I mean, we saw them, at the peak of their grind. They still stuck in my core, can't get past the 50. But that's because you had all those defensive linemen that played in the NFL on that front. And so you're going to have to play well offensively up front to give Jaden the time. When we've seen him have those big-time performances against Ole Miss and against Florida, he had time to survey the field. There was a run game there where he can hand the ball off, and then we know what he can do when he pulls it out and kind of gets on the edge with him running the ball. So I think Dellinger is a huge gift for this week. I actually, got to give credit to Frazier. Started in the season, he wasn't playing that best brand of football that you want to see from a guy who was, one of the number one tackles or number one linemen in the portal going into this. I think he's kind of figured it out a lot more. Got to give a little credit to Coach Davis, continue to coaching these guys and getting these guys better. But like you said, I think it gives you that avenue of having more depth where if something does happen in this game, either way, whoever's a starter is, you feel comfortable with the next guy coming in.
Something there you mentioned. By every account, from every stop he's had, Brad Davis is an exceptionally well-respected offensive line coach. And last year, he just got dealt the most difficult hand an offensive line coach could honestly be dealt. He came in way too late. Everyone was hurt the entire fall camp. Then your coach gets fired in the middle of the year, and it's musical chairs. That was really, really difficult. And they did not play very well as a unit with a healthy camp behind them in the first couple of weeks of this season. Florida State whipped them. I mean, there's no two ways to say it, but they made big-time adjustments after that. Emory Jones was back, started in the lineup, started moving people in that were out. Bradford, I mean, they've made a lot of changes. You put in Charles Turner at center, and now all of a sudden it's started to gel. And it should be expected that that group would get better because they've got a really good coach, and they've had a fair amount of continuity since August 1st for that position group to this point.
Yeah, they definitely have. And that's kind of like you said, when you got a revolving door at offensive line, it's so hard to kind of figure things out because as much as you think, oh, this player is really good, but it's so much about the guy next to you because you're going to have teams that run these stunts, TE stunts, where the end loops in and the tackle goes around. And if you don't trust the guy next to you to pass that stuff off, and obviously in the run game, you're doing a lot of double teams working up to linebackers, you have to get those reps with the guys that are playing next to you. So it's kind of like, I know you got 5 different guys out there, but you're one really big unit out there. And when you're a coach trying to get all these guys on the same page, this guy's hurt, that guy's good, this guy's normally a tackle, now he's playing guard, this guy's a guard, he's playing center. It's just too much to do in a short amount of time when you got SEC defensive linemen coming after you Saturday after Saturday. So I think the job that Coach Davis has done, being locked and key and having that alignment with my man Coach Kelly, I thought they've done a phenomenal job with this offensive line.
Looking for a podcast? Host Mark Ramsey brings you bite-sized Hollywood history inside the new Drop Biscuit Studios podcast, You Talking to Me. You can listen, download, or subscribe today at dropbiscuit.com. We'll come back, SEC Power Rankings. We do it every week. Who's showing up this week? That's next on Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill.
LWCC, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana each and every day here on Hunt and Hill. This month in November, our champion of Louisiana is Molly Kimball.
Yeah, Molly Kimball is a registered dietitian, nutrition journalist, and founder of Ochsner Eat Fit. Created in 2013 as a resource for all things wellness, Eat Fit is a nonprofit initiative of Ochsner Health that works to make a healthy choice the easy choice through collaborative partnerships with restaurants, markets, and other food service establishments.
I'll be honest, before we got to tell Molly Kimball's story here on Hunt and Hill, I was unaware about the Eat Fit program. I've seen it on the menus all over the place, and there's a reason for that. Over 500 program partners of Eat Fit across our great state, and it's because Molly does a great job of partnering with those restaurants to help you eat right and do the right thing for your body. Look, together with her and Eat Fit, Molly works closely with local restaurants, markets, other food service establishments to help identify and develop dishes that meet established nutritional criteria. In addition to Eat Fit, Molly works to bridge the gap between the idea of wellness and real life through other ventures like her weekly podcast and weekly TV segment down at WGNO. Now, right here as a champion of Louisiana on Hunt and Hill. Molly Kimball, November's champion of Louisiana, presented by LWCC. LWCC is Louisiana loyal.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening. with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Mastery Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Saban office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Saban have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off.
NFL is back. Our coverage starts Sunday at 10 a.m. with Magnolia Bluffs Football Sunday with Jimmy Ott, immediately followed by the Atlanta Falcons and the Los Angeles Chargers at noon, right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, it's that time of the week. SEC Power Rankings, very fluid each week. Jeremy may have the Tigers #1. You really never know. They didn't play last week, so they didn't lose. You may think they're cream of the crop, and there's no telling where the Aggies show up in Jeremy's list. So we'll let him go first. Give me your top 4, Jeremy.
Top 4, no shocker here. 10, 10, 10, hype, hype, hype. Run the hype train. 35 points a game on anybody. Doesn't matter who you are. Bring out the 2011 Bama defense. Doesn't matter. Hooker's just got to sling it all over the yard. That offense rolling at a high cylinder. And I got to call my boy J.D. Pickle right here. PicKell, I should say. I like them to beat Georgia, man. I think that offense is nothing like Georgia's faced all season. You know, they had some success against Ashford and the crew in Auburn and some of these other teams they played, but this is a different beast, man. And actually, the last time I actually came to the between the hedges, I actually saw Hail Mary from a Tennessee quarterback, and they beat that team. So yeah, let's get a little bit of
Josh
that.
Dobbs.
Yeah, Josh Dobbs. I had Kamara at running back actually. Yeah, I was at that game. But yeah, I got Tennessee #1. 2, I got Georgia. I think Stetson is going to have to play out of his mind this week. I just don't see, as good as that Georgia defense is, they're not going to live at running between the teeth of that Georgia defense and hammering the inside zone time and time again. They can actually spread the ball around the yard, and I don't know if Georgia's faced a passing attack like this. So I think Stetson's going to have to play some big-time ball. Had the 2 interceptions last week. Can't do that this week. You do that against Tennessee and give them that short field. They're going to eat you alive. So Georgia at 2, big-time performance for them. Obviously, if they win that game, they're walking into Atlanta. 3, I got the Tide. Tide, whatever. Yeah, I don't really want to talk about Tide. I want to talk about 4, the Tigers. Fighting Tigers of LSU at 4. Who would have thought it? Big-time chance. they win this week, I'm letting you guys know. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. They're going to be in my top 2 next week. Just letting you guys know that right now, because one of these teams at 2 is going to lose. Bama's going to lose. So Tigers at 2, man. This is just lovely season for us right now. So let's go Tigers. Big time game.
12 like a month ago. So here we go. I had them at like 11. So Tennessee, number 1 for me. Look, they're maligned for their defense. They held Will Levis to 98 yards passing and forced him into 3 picks. They held Kentucky under 3 yards per carry on the ground. Held LSU to 13 points. Like, I'm not saying it's the 85 Bears out there, but they're playing some decent defense, and a couple of those defensive linemen are going to be NFL guys. So Tennessee, I've got at number 1. Georgia's number 2. They're outscoring Power 5 opponents 262 to 62. That is a 200-point advantage in P5 games. They are still really, really good, but you're right. Stetson does not need to turn the football over a couple times. Dogs need to milk their possessions and get points out of them in between the hedges this Saturday. I've got Alabama at number 3. I was interested in our conversation yesterday with Tony Tsoukalis, who covers Alabama, and I got the vibes of like the 2016 into 2017 LSU baseball team. For those who don't remember, 16 was the team where you had the rally possum at the end of the year, and some of the guys kind of grew up towards the back end. So you came into 17, you had Kramer, you had Cole Freeman, you had Greg Dykman, you had Alex Lang, you had Jared Poche. You had a crew that you really believed in that was coming back, and I went on record saying I thought they would win the national championship entering that year, and they just didn't play very well in February, March, and April. And I was like, maybe they just got lucky at the end of last year, got hot for 3 weeks, and they weren't that good then, and they're not that good now, but they look pretty good. And then you look up, Papirski's was played in the big leagues, Dykman played in the big leagues, Kramer played in the big leagues, Lang's flourishing in the big leagues. Hess was what he was, and they were good. It just took them some time, and then they took off, and they got to the championship series. Maybe you look at this Alabama team, and you go, God, Will Anderson, Bryce Young, Jameer Gibbs, Dallas Turner, all these guys. Why are they scrapping with A&M? Why are they scrapping with Texas? Why can't they put these teams away? They couldn't stop Tennessee. Maybe it just takes them some time. I hope not, but I'm kind of getting those vibes a little bit that we know how good they might be. They just haven't put it together quite yet. So I've got them at 3, and then I've got LSU at 4 as well. So we're in lockstep there, 1 through 4 with those teams.
All right, I got the Joker himself, Mr. Clown outfit. For Halloween, my man Lane Kiffin at 5, man. Look, he's rolling right now at Ole Miss. I don't think a lot of Lane hate when he took the Ole Miss job, and I think what he's doing with that program is absolutely incredible. Especially with that offense and doing what they're doing. And I think having the guts to go for that punt in his own territory and really kind of seeing the momentum of Kyle Field and kind of what Waitman was doing at quarterback to really have the heart to go for that punt and kind of change the tide of that game. That was a big-time call. Those are the type of calls that win or lose you games, and you obviously get that, and you kind of saw what happened after that. So I think for that Ole Miss team, I got them locked in at 5. 6, I got Arkansas. Team kind of up and down all season long, but getting Jefferson back and to me Sanders, I saw a stat. He's having a better season than Darren McFadden is to this point, which I thought I would never say, about an Arkansas running back. But yeah, better season to this point of the season than Darren McFadden was having. So that's absolutely incredible what they're doing with their rushing attack. So I got Arkansas at 6, and then 7. Things get a little shaky after 6. It just gets real shaky. It's a little weird, but I guess I have to put Kentucky there. Just really bad. So many people were having that talking point, like, watch out for Levis, watch out for Kentucky. They could run the ball. They could slow the tide. And no, they didn't. They didn't do that at all. And it's kind of like that what you kind of thought with the Stoops situation. It's a great spot for them. You can walk in any season, lose 3 games. You may win 10, but you're in a good spot right there for them to kind of really never really challenge and do anything, real in the East. But, I got Kentucky there at 7. And 8, I got Mississippi State. The Leach era, man. You know what you're going to get. May win 1, may lose 1. Probably going to end up with 5 losses at the end of it by the end. But, yeah, it gets a little shaky after 6. But I got Mississippi State at 8.
So for me, I got Ole Miss at 5 as well, same as you. Still 3rd in the NCAA in rushing yards behind the service academies that run it on every play. So they can run the football. Dart's been pretty good, and they're winning games. I don't know how else to say it. They're winning football games. I've got Arkansas at 6 as well, same as you. Number 2 running offense in the SEC. And KJ Jefferson, to this point, 15 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's been pretty efficient, not flashy. Doesn't have Traylon Burks, and that hurts him a little bit. Hazelwood's been okay, but they don't have what they had last year in the pass game. Their defense is not nearly what it was the last couple of years, and that probably should have been expected with the amount of super seniors they lost off that team. But I've got them at 6. I got Mississippi State at 7. I just can count on them to be pretty good. Yeah, they couldn't move the ball at all in Alabama. That's not what they do, and they didn't look great against Kentucky either. But I like their quarterback, and they've won some games. Their defense is pretty good. I'll take them at 7. And number 8, I've got Florida. Look, they just dismissed Brenton Cox, who's their best defensive player. That's not a good start. Their quarterback's pretty good. Everybody after 6 has got some real issues.
Yeah.
And that's not to dismiss Ole Miss and LSU as perfect teams by any stretch, but everybody after 6 has got some real issues. So I'll go with Florida based on a little bit of talent, a good running game, a good offensive line, and a quarterback that could go nuts at any given point, where I'm looking after this and I don't really love the quarterback play, and that'll get me to my number 9 when it gets to my time.
Yeah. Number 9, I got a quarterback that I don't love either. And it just hasn't been well. A lot of hype when he went over to South Carolina, who's at number 9 for me. I mean, it's just shaky after this. It's just all shaky after this. But,
got dumped by Missouri.
Yeah, they did. But, yeah, I got them at 9. 10, I got Florida. I think that defense is only going to get worse now. It's only going to get bad. And you thought AR-15 had to go light the world on fire weekend, and we got now just you put more weights on his back. So hopefully they got a good, strength and conditioning staff, good training program, because his back's going to be really, really sore by the end of the season with how much carrying he's going to have to do. And 11, I probably should have bumped my man Drinkwitz up a little bit here, but I got them down at 11. I mean, getting a win over South Carolina wasn't, earth-shattering news for me, but you had to win that game for him to keep his job, and I thought that was a job-saving win for them last weekend. So I got 11. I got Missouri. And then 12, man, the coachless Auburn Tigers, or the Eagles, or whatever they want to be called these days. That's a dumpster fire. If you want to, Google dumpster fire, you're probably going to see the Auburn program, right there in front of you. Just I think for any Auburn fan who, somehow they compete in these Iron Bowls year in and year out, this is not what they wanted this season. And you could kind of see the tea leaves on the wall with this program, even before they even played a snap this season. Just not great. And I thought, firing him at this point in the season, probably a little too late, but, they finally got it done. So we'll kind of see what direction they go with their program after that. But, I got Auburn at 12, and then my favorite team in the SEC, the Fighting Aggies, and the Fighting 3-5 Aggies. Maybe we gave them too much credit. 8-4 is just way too much credit.
They will not be 8-4 this year. I can promise you they won't be 8-4.
Yeah, they will not be 8-4 this year, but you let that team come run the ball down your throat, and like Lane said, you got all the 5 stars up on that front, and you just couldn't stop the run. That's the most demoralizing thing for a football team, when you just watch a team hand the ball off time and time again, gash you, and then Dart almost hits you up for 100 yards. It's just bad. No, I know they're going to feel good, and the fan base in Texas, they're so happy. The 5-star quarterback, man, he's the real deal. We got a quarterback now. We got the future. You got that guy calling plays for him. Something's bad's going to happen. So, Jimbo, keep dialing him up, baby. I need you calling plays. Don't hire an OC. Keep calling it. You got it. You're national championship winning coach. Let you dial them up, and you just keep dialing up for the Aggies. So, Aggies down at 13, right where they belong, and I would put them at 14, but we kind of know who's going to hang out at 14 for perpetuity here. The doors, and like we talked about, we joked about it. Are they going to win an SEC game this year? I don't think so. So, yeah, got to get some love to D. Mason, man. Last SEC win for the Doors, because it's not happening again this year. The Doors at 14.
All right, so in my 9 spot, I've got Kentucky. They've lost 3 of 4. Will Levis, who is being talked up a lot, I've now watched him 3 or 4 times. What am I looking at? He has a big arm and he can run a little bit. I've got a guy with 13 touchdowns and 8 picks on the year, and I've got a team that doesn't score a lot of points. His offensive line stinks. I can see that. And it's not, they don't have Wan'Dale Robinson out there anymore. But they're not good. I've got them at 9. This is the biggest knee-jerk move I've made all year in terms of a move. I don't feel good about this at all, but I can try to back it up. At 10, I've got Missouri. Look, they were atrocious against Kansas State. They lost 40-12. That was terrible. Since then, they threw up on themselves at a game they should have won 3 different times at Auburn. They should have won the game. They gave Georgia all they wanted. It was 26-22 final. They go down to the Swamp and lose by a touchdown, but we're very much in the game. They beat Vanderbilt 17-14. That's a pathetic performance. I don't even try to back it up, but they won. And then they beat South Carolina 23-10. But what I can hang my hat on with Missouri here is they're number 19 in the country in scoring defense. They held South Carolina to 10, Vanderbilt to 14, Florida to 24, Georgia to 26, Auburn to 17. They are pretty good on defense. I got real problems with everybody else down here, so I'm going to put Missouri at 10. Number 11, I've got A&M. Again, they continue to lose, which is great. I'm all about that. Wegman looked decent. He looked decent. He threw 3 touchdowns, no picks. We'll see what he looks like against a terrible Auburn team, but Wegman looked decent in his first game, so I'll put them there at 11. 12, I've got South Carolina. They're frauds. They should never have won 3 games in a row. Spencer Rattler is throwing for 205 yards per game. He's got 5 touchdowns and 9 picks. That's terrible. I mean, that's awful. They're frauds. Man. They feasted on an A&M team that had a terrible quarterback and was bad. They got a bunch of turnovers in that game, and they found out a way to win the game. They got a kickoff return in that game too. So I got them at 12. I've got Auburn at 13. My note for them, I drew a dumpster that was on flames. They're giving up 44 points per game in their last 3. That's not very good on defense. What a waste of Tank Bigsby that has been. 3 years of bad football with a really, really good tailback. Feel bad for him. And then 14, we got 3 years of no wins for Vanderbilt, so I'm going to go ahead and put them there at 14. So for me, Tennessee 1, Georgia 2, Alabama 3, LSU 4, Ole Miss 5, Arkansas 6, State at 7, Florida at 8, Kentucky at 9, Missouri at 10, A&M at 11, South Carolina at 12, Auburn at 13, and number 14, the Vanderbilt Commodores is what I've got.
Yeah, I had Tennessee at 1, Georgia at 2, 3, the Tide, I guess. 4, my Fighting Tigers, 5, Ole Miss, 6, Arkansas, 7, Kentucky, 8, Mississippi State, 9, South Carolina. Probably should have bumped them down more, I think about it. But 10, I got Florida, 11, Missouri, 12, Auburn, 13, the Fighting 3-5 Texas Aggies, and 14, the Doors, where they probably going to stay for perpetuity.
Yeah, looks that way. That's your SEC Power Rankings for the first week in November. Come back and close it out with Take It or Leave It. It's Hunt and Hill.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I love telling you about the service department at Bayou Ford because servicing your vehicle is not fun. Nobody likes it. It's a little bit expensive, and it takes time out of your day. And nobody wants to get towed in or drive in, sit in the waiting room, scroll through your phone, wait for them to order the part. They're not sure when they're going to get to your vehicle. You've missed your whole day, and you're trying to get your car serviced. No, they're not going to do it that way. You need your car to be serviced. They'll come get it. They will drive up with one of their 6 full-time drivers. They will take your vehicle back to the dealership. They will drop you off a loaner. You get the kids to school. You get the kids to daycare. You go to work. Get the kids to practice. Whatever needs to happen after school. You got to go on a sales call. You make that happen too. Then what happens? It's ready to roll. They'll drive it right back to you. You didn't miss a beat, and they've taken care of your vehicle. You got to service your car. It's a very expensive investment that we make. Got to make sure it's running the right way, and Bayou Ford can help you do it.
Yeah, head over to BayouFord.com. They got a new special tab that updates daily. It's complete with a photo of the vehicle and the savings you can score, as well as a video profiling the vehicle and all of its features. Don't see anything you love? That's okay. Keep coming back because those deals will update on the site as Bayou Ford rolls them out. It's all right there at BayouFord.com.
BayouFord.com is the website. Bayou Ford, where they're going to do right by you.
Professional golfers John Peterson and J.J. Colleen answer all your golf and life questions inside the new Drop Biscuit Studios podcast for the people. Download or subscribe today at dropbiscuit.com. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt and Hill. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
We get it done with strength, commitment, dedication, grit.
Let's go, defense!
We get it done with passion for our fans and love for our community. We are the Tigers. Get it done.
Let the values of the purple and gold be in your starting lineup this season. And as always, get it done.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Light beer shouldn't taste like water. Miller Lite has more taste.
It's Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. Russ Mitchell will join us. Peter Burns of the SEC Network taking a closer look at the Alabama Crimson Tide. Join us 3 to 6. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Closing up shop here, Wednesday edition of Hunt and Hill. I'm told they're going to play a basketball game out west tonight. Mario, you can open your mic if you'd like. You'll be here tomorrow. Would you like to talk that talk now, or you just want the Pels to do your talking so you can talk tomorrow?
I'll let the Pels do most of the talking, but got the sweep last year. Looking forward to building on it, getting a win, and getting ourselves a better draft pick.
It's huge. You move up in the standings. You drive them down in the standings. Double trouble. How are we feeling, Jeremy?
Not great. And Mario doesn't not let me not hear about it. So I hope, for my sake, we can pull off this upset tonight. Go James. We're going after Kareem. Let's do it. Go James. I need a big-time performance. Anthony Day-to-Day Davis probably not going to play. Got to probably hurt his back trying to reach his basketball shoes out of his locker. So he probably won't be seeing much action tonight. So we need to go James. 40-point performance. Let's go. Russell off the bench. And we'll probably lose anyway. So we'll see.
Pels Lakers tonight. Let's play some take it or leave it on the way out. Jeremy, when asked about when he found out when his former head coach Steve Nash was fired, Kevin Durant said, found out when he woke up from a nap, looked at the ESPN ticker. KD finding out post-nap. Take it or leave it.
I got to leave it. I don't think the number one player in your franchise, the star of your franchise, had no idea you're going to fire the head coach, especially the same head coach. He was begging to be fired in the entire offseason coming into the season. So I don't know if he woke up from a nap and that was just breaking news to Kevin. So I think that's a little tongue-in-cheek for my boy KD here.
He's been known to do that.
Yeah, all right. Here, owner of the Washington Commanders, Dan Snyder, he has hired Bank of America to explore options of selling the team, with him saying they are set on being the gold standard of workplace environments in all of sports. The Washington Commanders, the gold standard of workplace environment.
You don't even have to use workplace environment. They're not. Leave it. I'll take anything gold standard for the Washington football team, Commanders, Redskins, squad. They're just a disaster at all points. This has got to be Jeff Bezos here that's going to come in and buy, you would think. Elon Musk going to jump in and buy a team. He's buying everything else.
Yeah, I saw a funny stat that Elon Musk had enough capital to buy every single sports franchise in America. NHL, MLB, basketball, football, you name it. He can just buy all of them. So I wouldn't be shocked if they jumped into that. Wouldn't be shocked at all.
The Browns GM Andrew Berry says Deshaun Watson is on track to play right when his suspension ends on December the 4th. He's happy to have him back in the building. Deshaun Watson's going to get the Browns back into first place in the AFC North after they went over the Bengals last week. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave that for my sake of my Bengals. Need my man Jamar back. We need that offense back rolling, and we got to get the Alabama guy out of there. How about that? We start there. We should have made a move to get the Bama guy out of town. Got to get my boy Joey B killed. Don't love that at all, but I got to support my Bengals. We don't need Deshaun lighting the world on fire. We've seen that before. Need my Bengals rolling. So I'm going to leave that one. All right, you'll like this last one here. After a huge 7-0 win in the World Series, Hoskins' wife, Jamie, decided to treat Philly fans to free beers after a huge Game 3 win. Are you taking or leaving? Free beer after getting a big-time World Series win.
Got to take it. Absolutely.
I'll take it.
Big John Lester, after he moved on from the Cubs, bought like the whole city of Chicago beers. He spent a couple $100,000 on some cold pops. Big John, the man. You start winning World Series, you got to be a little generous when you get those huge contracts. So, yeah, I'm all for a couple of suds after a big win from the Phillies. That place is a madhouse. It's going to be a madhouse again tonight. I think the Astros are in a little bit of trouble at this point, and we'll see what Aaron can do tonight on the Hill for the Phillies, pulling for my guy Aaron Nola tonight. And I think the Phillies are going to get this thing done one way or another, as I think I did not predict early. I thought the Astros would get them, but the Phillies look to be that team right now. So we shall see. We'll talk about it tomorrow on a Thursday edition. Missed any of today's show, you can catch it on demand at 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab. You can catch it on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or on YouTube. We open things up talking about LSU and Alabama. JD PicKell joined us in the first hour talking all things college football. A little injury update on LSU to start hour number 2. Hope your Wednesday's going well. Jimmy Ott's going to be with you from 6 to 8 on Jimmy Ott's Game Time. Matt Moscone about to drive you home on After Further Review. Have a great Wednesday. We'll see y'all tomorrow. It is Hunt and Hill.